Let's talk about working with Git. To work with Git, there are multiple steps. One is installing Git on your computer. Second, setting up your GitHub profile and setting up your SSH keys. And third, working with the Git commands. So the first thing first, let's get the Git installation started. For Mac, you need to have brew first, and then you need to set up the path, and then you need to install Git. For Windows, you can install Git either via WinGit, or you can also go to the Git website and get the Windows installer. So coming back to Mac here, the first command is /bin/bash. And so I will take this one and walk through this with you so you can see how it feels. So open the terminal. Terminal opens this window. Let me bring it in here. When you copy paste this command, you really need to make sure one thing, because double quotes, they get converted, if you saw carefully, between the copy paste between the PowerPoint and the terminal. So you need to go and fix them, otherwise you'll get all types of issues. So double quotes, a single quote generally, or you can take it to text pad and just change it there. So now it'll ask for the password, which I'll provide. So it will install Homebrew, and once you have it, so in my case, I already had installed it earlier today. So it's saying updating. In your case, it's saying adding if you're doing it for the first time. And don't forget to run these bottom three commands. And make sure these single quotes or double quotes, you type again on them. Well, let me do that with you so you can see. So we go echo, right? So, and then so what I'm doing here is setting up the path to my terminal, so they are available for us. All right, so that's good. So this is set up the path. So if you go and run brew, if you had not done these three steps, and if you're writing brew, it will give an error. Error will look like something like this. Let's say as if it's not existing, like brew one does not exist. So zsh command not found. So it was really important that you run these three commands, especially on Mac. On Windows, winget goes through the path. Once we have it, then we need to install Git. So let me clear this. Brew install Git. So it's already installed and up to date. So I don't have to I just want to run this. I can show this to you how it looks. Perfect. So now after this, so Git has installed. You can always verify that by writing git -- version. Yes, I have 2.49.0 on this computer. So now let's do SSH. And for SSH, go to your terminal. And I'm not gonna be running this because I already did it. So you run SSH keygen. And this is the protocol which is being used for generating the key. So only thing you should change is the email address. This is the email address you'll be logging onto your Git account with. And I'll also show you that in 1 minute. Then you need to set up your SSH agent. So you write eval exactly the way it is. Then you should add. So what happens when you run this keygen? It creates a private key and a public key. So this one is your private key, and that stays on your local computer. The public key is your key.pub. That's the public key. So when you cat that thing, that will display a string of numbers, and then you copy paste that and you'll copy that to your Git account. So let's stay here for a second. So you generate your SSH key. You'll set up your SSH agent and add private keys. Use these two commands, and then you print public key, and then we'll copy paste that command, that key, to your Git account. You can pause the video, make sure you have run these steps, and then we'll move to next steps. Okay, next step. For this, we will go to our Git account. So go to github.com. I already have my own repo, but if you're coming for the first time, you will need to go to, I think, github.com. Well, it all just takes me to the, let me log it out. If I sign out, well, sign out. So it will take you here. Then you do sign up. Once you signed up, you sign in. And when you sign in, you will, in your case, you will see no repo or repository. So for that, you go here, create a new repository. So you say here, the name of repository is like test or anything you give. And you can make it private or public. If you are working on content you want to share with public, you make it public. If you don't want to share, then make it private. Either way is fine. And then you say click create repository here. So in my case, I probably will not go and create because I already have an existing one. I'll go back to my repository. Here's, I have one machine learning and artificial intelligence. So once you have it, like in your case, your name, your test, you will see this code window here. So we will work with SSH here. Before we can work with SSH, you have to do one step. So go to your profile. I am trying to look for SSH and GPG keys here. You need to go to SSH key and set new SSH key. Give it a name like get key, SSH key, anything. And then when you go to your computer and when you run this command cat your public key, then you will get like bunch of string here. So copy paste that into this location. So whatever you got like SSH, like the key, you'll be copy pasting here and say add SSH key, and that's it. So to add your SSH key again, you have to go to your computer, generate your SSH key, private key stays privately on your computer, public key goes on GitHub. And once you have set it up, then your SSH key is ready. So in my case, for example, you can see I have SSH key. That's the one I'm using. And with that, your setup is ready to really use Git. Let's go back to our repo now. Dashboard. So let's go back to this code here, go to SSH, copy this, and let's say in my case, I already have a repo, but I'm gonna delete this. And I'll show you how this looks like from scratch. So I have, let's say, GitHub repo 2025. So you need to go back to your terminal. Let's see where we are. You have to go to your path. My path is located at here. So you should create a folder where you'll be getting the content from your remote GitHub to that location. So here's empty. So I'll say git clone. I want to clone this URL. So it's cloning machine learning project to my local computer. So if I go here, you can see I have all the files available here. Right, so you can see, so everything is available here. ls minus l, let's say. Right, so you can see all the files here. Other thing you can do is, let's go back, look here, git commands, we did clone. If you need to add something, let's say you are working on a new project, so let's say create a, let me clear this window. I'm gonna create a folder called, let's say, test. I'll go inside test, and you can also do that from like outside. I'm just doing everything from here. So let's say I'm working on a new file called test.py, and I write something on a very simple test, print test.py. Right, and so if I go back here, I can see there's a file test.py. If I want to look at the status of my git status, it's saying everything is up to date, there's no untracked file. What I want to do now is I want to take the file I created, test.py, which you can also see here, this new file. I want to take it from my local computer to the remote repository. For that, I will say git add test.py. And then from here to commit, the 3-step process, like, I need to add, commit, and push. Commit -m, new file, whatever message makes sense for your project. So it's saying like, it's, committing that. And then if I do git push, it will take it from my local machine to the remote computer. So if I go back here, before refreshing, you can't see test here. I'm going to refresh this window. You will see the test folder is a new file. And the command, you can see new file is the comment which I added there. So I have this test.py. Test.py. Let's say you're working on this file and you are going to be modifying it. And let's say I have 2 more lines, like, or some kind of for loop or anything, doesn't matter. So I have updated this file. So I go back here and I say git status. You'll say modified test.py. Clear? So what you need to do, you need to say again, like, git status was modified file is test.py, git add test.py, always like 3 commands, git commit minus modified test.py, and then it will say you do git push. And now when I go back to my remote and refresh it, you should see test 1 2, and that's what it really is. And if there are other developers on team and if you want to get everybody's code, you can always go and, let's say, your other developers, they worked on this yesterday, and you come to the office today and you want to get their code, you can always say git pull, already up to date. If there's something which got changed there, let's say here, right? So like another developer worked on this and changed this file here, commit changes, and I'll say okay. So now test.py has changed. If I get every code from there, I'll say git pull, and it'll say okay, 1 file changed, so it's updated that file. So git pull is also important. Generally when you go to work, you want to get pull or fetch to get the latest. And that's it. This is what it is with git. So just to recap what we did now, we set up brew, set up the path for Mac. For Windows, it's a different process. For winget, we'll have to get winget, and then we installed git. And for Windows, we got git via winget. On Windows, you could also have like gone to Git website and got Windows MSI or install it. Okay, and then once we have it, we need to set up our SSH. So we use SSH keygen to get the SSH key, and then we set up the private agent, and then we got the public key, and we took the public key and added to GitHub. And then we cloned the repo, we added a file, we committed, we pushed. Add, commit, push repeats for every scenario. If you get the latest, you do pull, like publishing a modified file, for example, I've shown. Add, commit, push, 3-step process. And that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll add this deck with the training material. Thank you.